I was wondering if there was anything in your career that you haven't forgiven yourself for, a role you didn't take, a take you wish you had done one more time, a character choice you wish you had made. Is there anything in your career that you're still having a hard time letting go of?
Yes, Speed 2.
I like Speed too.
What?
I like Speed too. It's different than Speed One, but it's
That
not.
was brave. That was brave to admit, and I appreciate that. Thank you. So maybe I should reflect on why I can't forgive myself and maybe go back and watch and see the benefits of it.
According to Parade, Bullock got a major raise for 1997 Speed 2, Cruise Control, earning $10.5 million to reprise her role of Annie Porter.
How much is $10.5 million from 1997 in today's money? $19 million. Yeah, I'd disown the movie too if they paid me that much money. Hey guys, welcome to Last Movie Standing. Today I'm going to talk about everybody's favorite sequel, Speed 2. Speed 2 is one of my favorite movies from the 90s. I am not sitting here saying it's better than Speed 1. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I love Speed 2. And I know it's remarked as one of the worst sequels ever made. It's on so many lists, but I don't understand it. Speed 2 came out in 1997. In 1997, I was 10 years old. This was this is one of the few movies I legitimately remember going to the theater to see. I remember which theater I saw it. I saw it at the Phelan 6 in Beaumont, Texas. I remember I was at that age. I don't remember if I saw it with my mom. My mom was a big Sandra Bullock fan, so she may have seen it with me, but that was also a time period. I don't know if a lot of y'all can relate to this who grew up in the 90s. You know, when you would go to the movies with your parents, you reached a certain age where you would find times that matched to where your mom, like my mom and my sister, would go to one movie, and then if I didn't want to see that movie, I could find a movie at the same at or around the same time period, and then go to the other movie, and then we would just meet up afterwards. That was kind of a thing, like growing up for a long time, and I think this was one of those movies. I'm not really sure, just because it has Sandra Bullock, but I have always just appreciated this movie. I've always loved this movie. This is such a fun movie to me, and I never really understood people's hatred for it. And I didn't want to just sit here and talk about why I love it, because I just always have. It's just a good movie to me. I don't feel like I need to really defend this movie, but if I do, I think it's a good movie. I don't really have a defense for that. I mean, there are things that haven't aged well with the movie. I will say that. I feel like the storyline with Lolita is a little weird. Especially so there's a little sub-storyline with this little deaf girl who's like 14 or about to be 15 or something, who kind of has a crush on Jason Patrick. So Keanu Reeves isn't in this movie. Keanu Reeves turned it down. I'm sure most of y'all are like, obviously. But I mean, Keanu Reeves has been in some shit movies too. But he turned it down, so they got Jason Patrick from Lost Boys. I haven't seen him in too many things. I've only really seen him in Lost Boys, this. He was the bad guy in A-Team, which he wasn't that good in that. His star kind of went down a little bit. But he was the lead in this, and they even brought back, I don't know his name, but the black dude from the first one. They stole his car in the first one, and this one they steal his boat. Same director and everything. Like, this movie was so expensive. They literally had to buy a cruise ship to make this film on. Like, they literally were on the ocean filming this movie on the cruise ship as they were going. Like, that's how big of a budget this was. And that whole end sequence where the ship crashes into the harbor, that was all done for real.
Have you seen Speed 2?
No.
Speed 2 was a movie that nobody really wanted to make, from my understanding. And in the contract for Jan de Bont, the director, he was obligated for the sequel.
Oh, wow. Wait a minute.
This is miniature. This is.
Is that full scale? Did they
How is
actually
this-
do it? Did Christopher Nolan direct Speed 2? No way.
What the heck, dude?
No way. No way that's just good. That could just be good comping.
Did they actually just destroy an entire port?
Okay, I thought Speed 2 was going to be a bad movie. This is so far a good movie, Jordan.
They really built a cruise ship or they built part of a cruise ship, but they really built that whole like fake part of the city. I think that was like $20 million or something they spent just on that. That's insane. And I think the only fault this movie has is it's titled Speed. I really do. I feel like if it was named anything different, I think people would have a different perception of it. But because it's called Speed, it's got which they have to do for brand recognition. It's just part of what Hollywood does. It's what they do with a lot of movies. But the one thing I want to do today is I want to look up other movie sequels or movies in a franchise that have higher ratings than this on Rotten Tomatoes. Because this has, on Rotten Tomatoes, this movie has 4% from the critics and a 16 from audience. I think that's unfair. I really do. I feel like that's really unfair. So I'm going to go through this and kind of look through other movies that are just considered bad. They don't necessarily have to be the second movie in a franchise, because this movie isn't a franchise. It stopped at 2. But I want to go through and just kind of look to see how are other people ratings, because this is a 4 and a 16. Let's keep it in 97. What other sequel came out in 1997 that people just crap on, which is not as good as this movie? And I like this. I think this movie's okay. Not near as good as Speed 2. Mortal Kombat Annihilation has a 4%, so same rating, 4%, but it's got a 24% audience score versus Speed 2 16. Really? You're gonna tell me Mortal Kombat Annihilation is better than Speed 2? I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. No, scratch that. Let's get more modern, okay? A Good Day to Die Hard. Die Hard 5. Really? 15% critic score, 40% audience score. Is there like a nostalgic play going on here? Because A Good Day to Die Hard is a bad movie. Like, legitimately a bad movie. Yeah. Let's see this. Okay. 1997. Let's keep it in 1997. Okay, now, if you've watched this channel, I've talked about how much I like Batman and Robin. I do. I have fun with Batman and Robin. I saw it at 10 years old. I was the right age for that movie, you know? So let's go to Batman and Robin. 12% audience score versus Speed 2's 4%. It's got this, critic score. It's got the same audience score at 16, so they're even with that. But it's got a much higher. Now, I don't know if that's an Arnold thing, a Clooney thing, or what. Do I think Speed 2 is better than Batman and Robin? I feel like they're two totally different movies. Like, really, I feel like they're two totally different movies. But if I had to say which one is cornier, yeah, Batman and Robin is way more of a cornier film that people say ruined the franchise. I love them both, but yeah, I don't think this audience score. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's right. Okay, Lost Boys 2. Okay, so Jason Patric was in Lost Boys. They made a sequel. They made a straight-to-DVD sequel, so I don't think many people saw it, because this one has a 0% on the critic score, but I don't think many critics saw them. Like, they're like Lost Boys 2. I think Lost Boys 2 was a really good movie. The problem is, same with Speed 2, Lost Boys 2 is named Lost Boys. They should have just made its own vampire thing and be like, oh, it's kind of like Lost Boys, but no, they need that brand recognition. You know, so Lost Boys 2 at the 0%. I can see that that's worse. But it's got a 25% score on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's worse. Speed 2 is technically marked worse than this. I think that's totally unfair. But it is what it is. Let's see. Son of the Mask. Son of the Mask is ranked higher than this. I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not even going to talk about it. Not even going to talk about it. Ghostbusters 2026. 74 certified fresh by critics. And then only 49%. Here's the thing. I'm in that 49%. I own the movie. Oh, shit. I own the movie. I don't think Ghostbusters 2026 is that bad of a movie. Now, asterisk, I think the first 2/3 of Ghostbusters 2016. I keep saying 2026. I'm sorry. I gotta correct myself. The female Ghostbuster movie. I think 2/3 of it is actually pretty good. I think the third act ruins the whole movie. And don't ever watch the extended cut, because it's just a musical at that point. No, it's stupid. But the first 2/3 of it, I think, are fine. It's still the worst Ghostbusters movie, but certified for compared to Speed 2, that alone just baffles me, because I feel like Speed 2 just gets unfairly hate watched. And maybe I grew up in a time where I grew up pre-internet. You know, I was alive before the internet was born. I saw movies before it was a thing to look it up. Like, you know, reviews came from newspapers, from old guys that were just, you know, you didn't trust. It's still kind of like that now. It's just online. But we didn't have that, like, oh, people everywhere are saying it's bad. And, you know, it taints your opinion of the movie. You know, I know people who don't even watch trailers anymore because they just want to see the movie fresh based off like either the first trailer, that'll do it for them, or the poster. You know, they don't want to see the trailers. And getting back to Speed 2, I mean, John DuPont directed this. John DuPont did the first Speed. So this one is on par. You got Willem Dafoe as the bad guy. I mean, come on. You got Boba Fett in this movie. Is it Tamar Morrison?
Stop the ship! I don't have any control!
Oh, man!
It's a really fun movie. And maybe it's still the 10-year-old in me that likes this movie. And I'll say I've seen this movie probably more times than Speed 1. I'm not saying it's better. Not saying that. I am saying I've probably seen it more, because I love the music in it. I love the whole visual aspect of it. I love cruises. Like, I remember I went on my first cruise in 2011, and I just fell in love with it. And it also kind of helped make this movie even more enjoyable for me, like, in my later years. So, this movie has always stuck with me. Like, from the VHS to the DVD to the Blu-ray. Do I think this is going to get a 4K? No. It's Fox. I don't know what's going to happen with any of their titles right now, but the Blu-ray's definitely, like, colors look so nice. Now, I would say this would look probably more amazing on 4K than the first one, look-wise. Just because it's more colors, you're at sea, you have more blue, you know. The first one's a very beautiful 4K. I own it, but it's all in a bus, and it's all in LA, you know, and it's not like this visual, like, pops, you know. I feel like this would, but I don't ever see it getting a 4K, sadly. If it does, I'll be there day one. But maybe it's a nostalgic thing. I don't know. Maybe this movie will slowly, finally gain its audience over time. Because I'm not going to sit here and say, this is a bad movie I love. This is a movie I love, and I've never considered it a bad movie. I legitimately don't understand why people don't like it. I don't. And you can argue, well, Keanu's not in it. Well, who cares? Keanu was in four Matrix movies, and I would argue only one of them was good. Personally, you know. He was also in a SpongeBob movie. I love Keanu Reeves, but yeah, I like Speed 2. I do, and I'm very unapologetic about it. Like, it holds so much nostalgic weight for me too, because like I said, I don't remember too many movies specifically seeing it in the theaters and being like, you know, and this was one of them, and it's always stuck with me. And if no one else is gonna say they love Speed 2 on YouTube, I am going to, because I love this movie so goddamn much.